Today I want to talk about monetizing your content, and not just what it's done really well, but what it's done very poorly. Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Joe Finley, and today we are going to discuss monetizing your content. I came across another question on another Facebook group, not directed to me, just directed out to everybody. And when that happens, you get all kinds of crazy advice, just like the last video that I did here about what equipment to buy. And as usual, the advice was not very helpful to the person asking the question. And I just thought to myself, we got to do something about this. So I wrote a very long answer back to the guy, and that's really what I want to get into here. So essentially the question was, I have been doing a podcast for about 8 weeks now. I have about 1,000 listens over the course of that 8 weeks. So when should I start monetizing? And at first I took it as just kind of a real question. It's okay, this person is looking for the right time to get into it, maybe what the right numbers are or something like that. And as I started going down the thread, I realized that that's not how the question's being answered, at the very least. And his responses to the other people's responses told me that no, he was looking to get rich quick. So the answer that made me the angriest was, it's never too early. Of course, there's such a thing as too early to monetize. Money is meant to be earned. You cannot expect to do little to no work and expect people to just start throwing money at you. This is not viable for a couple of reasons. Primary among them is that from the beginning, you should be focused on building great content and a strong community with the small group of people you have listening to your podcasts or watching your videos or checking out your stream, because they're the ones who are going to come back and they're the ones who are going to help you get off the ground. It's their views and their listens and things like that that put you into algorithms and suggested feeds and all these different things. And if early on people are enjoying what you do, and very early on you're like, ooh, you need to start giving me money now, I'm not inclined to stick around. And I've been that person before. I've been listening to a podcast from somebody who was new, not a celebrity or anything like that, and then 6 weeks in, they're like, hey, guess what? We started a Patreon. You got to join us on our Patreon. And instantly, that was the last episode I ever listened to, because I'm like, you're not ready for that yet. You haven't even found your voice on what you're doing here, and now you're trying to do a whole other thing over there. I even went on their Patreon and saw that there wasn't anything there. They weren't providing you any value for you becoming a patron. And Patreon was probably the number one suggestion that I saw in this thread. And to a lot of the responses, the guy just simply said, he's like, oh, how do you go about doing this? How do you go about doing that? So again, this is somebody who is asking about making money and not willing to do the research onto how one might do that. There are dozens upon hundreds of videos on this very platform about this very subject, and he couldn't even be bothered to look up some videos. Hey, what do I do about monetizing? How do I go about setting up this? Or how do I go about setting up that? Just looking for an easy answer to an easy payout. And that really, really upset me. I want you to consider for a second starting a Patreon so early on in your career as whatever kind of creator you are. People are just getting to know you. You're just getting to know yourself as a creator. Now you're deciding, I'm going to create something else so people can pay for me. You don't have the fans yet to earn that. So you start up a Patreon, and you're going to start one of two types of a Patreon. You're going to start one that's essentially a tip channel, or you're going to start one where you're going to offer some kind of value. That's the one you should be starting. But again, I wouldn't start it so early. So you might do bonus episodes of your podcast, or you might release videos early, or you might do this or that or the other thing. But now consider that problem as a new creator. You haven't gotten efficient at doing what you do yet. You're not as quick at editing podcasts, and you're not batch recording, and you're not doing all these different things yet that give you the opportunity to get yourself ahead to a point where you can actually provide early content for somebody. You might realize really quick you're not going to be able to keep up with a timeline of providing extra content, of making bonus episodes, or doing any of these other things. And you'll find out really quick as a creator with a small community that Patreon is not really going to be going anywhere for you. It's going to start, and you're going to have maybe a couple of people if you're lucky, and you're going to get down about that because you're like, I'm making all this content and it's taking up so much of my time and I'm only getting a few bucks out of it. So what are you going to do? You're going to go onto your main content and you're going to start shilling your Patreon more and more and more. So now your listeners are listening to less of what they came to listen to in the first place and more about you talking about the Patreon that they're not a part of. And at that point, the more you get into it, other than just mentioning, hey, we have a Patreon over here if you're so inclined, you start to become a bit of a sleazy salesman for yourself. And I guarantee you, you're going to turn off more people from your show than you're actually going to bring in. Another thing I saw a lot in the thread were people saying, oh, reach out to people for sponsorships. You got to reach out for sponsorships. Got to get those sponsorships. I don't want to be harsh here, but you as a small creator have absolutely zero value to a sponsor in the early going. Sponsors are looking for creators who have a certain amount of influence over whatever it is that they're advertising, and they need a lot of eyes on you to get any value back for what they're going to pay. So what that means for you is if you do get a sponsor in the early going, you are going to be so ridiculously undervalued, and very likely you're going to be so excited that somebody actually agreed you're going to say yes. I've had partnerships in terms of getting equipment to review and access to certain things like that, or interviews and all these different things. That is how I'm utilizing my connections right now, is to grow, to make more videos, to do all that. But I owe nothing to anybody, so I'm getting a lot of value for my end of the deal. Generally speaking, and this is my experience with working with other people who have a lot of sponsorship deals and stuff like that, wait for people to come to you. They will come to you if you have something of value to give to them. One that I didn't see mentioned on there, but it's actually worth bringing up, is to become an Amazon affiliate and use affiliate links in your show notes or in your YouTube descriptions or on a Twitch panel, anything like that. So essentially what it means to become an Amazon affiliate is you sign up for this program on Amazon, and then you have the ability to create links for certain items, anything that they sell on Amazon, put them down, and then when people click your link and buy the item, you get a commission from that sale. And that's great, and it's passive income. You don't have to do anything extra other than put that down, and you can make money off of that for quite some time. But what it requires is influence. If somebody doesn't trust what you're saying about a piece of gear or something like that, they're not going to click on your links to go and buy these items. Now, the reason they don't trust you isn't necessarily because you're doing something particularly deceitful or you're just not knowledgeable about what you're talking about or anything like that, but you're new. So to a lot of people, they're getting their eyes on you for the first time, and they're like, I don't know if this guy knows what he's talking about. So the odds of getting that Amazon affiliate link clicked by your audience, very, very low. It's not until you've actually built up for a while and you've actually seen the returns of this influence. So for example, only recently, I've gotten a lot of really good comments in my other videos saying, hey, I saw your video. This helped me decide on this microphone. I am now gaining influence. I'm not a gigantic channel by any means, so I don't have huge influence. I don't have like Alpha Gaming influence or Epos Vox influence, but people are responding to my content. They seem to think that I know what I'm talking about. I'd like to think I do, and they're taking my advice to heart. I love that, and I really appreciate everybody who's reached out in the comments and stuff like that to tell me about it. But the risk you run for a new person who's trying to do this is you will eventually just get kicked out of the program because nobody's clicking on your links. So I would wait until such time that, people are saying that. And again, this doesn't apply to everybody because not everybody's talking about gear or doing any of that stuff. But if you're a really good gamer on Twitch and people are starting to see that and you're getting more and more viewers, more and more subs, things like that, then that's a good time to maybe put down in your panel, hey, here's the gaming equipment that I use. Here's the mouse that I use. Here's the keyboard that I use. Here's the headset that I use, things like that. And then they'll say, hey, this is the equipment that this person uses to be good, and I want to be good like this person, so I will buy the equipment that this person has. If you're podcasting or YouTubing about any old topic, then this might not apply to you at all. But now a couple of things that you could do a little bit earlier on that won't necessarily alienate your audience and are just kind of a simple way to get started. First up, you can set up some sort of a tip jar. On Twitch, there's a million ways to do this, but for podcasters and non-monetized YouTubers, you might need to use something like PayPal or something like that, and that will provide you a link that you can put down below that people can send you a tip if they are so inclined. But the key to this working at all and not chasing away the people that you already have in your community is to not go crazy about bringing it up. You don't want to say, hey, got the tip jar below, I got the tip jar, hey, click that tip jar, make sure you smash that tip jar, throw some stuff in the tip jar, Christmas time. Then you stop being an educator or entertainer or whatever it is that you're doing, and you start being a panhandler. So if you want to do this in the classiest way possible, once per show, probably towards the end, because again, if people aren't listening or watching you all the way to the end, they're not going to be inclined to do this in the first place. Just say, hey, if you want to support the show, there's a link down below where you can go to do that. It's classy, it's simple, you haven't gone overboard, you're not saying, hey guys, you gotta send me money. It's really simple that way. It's like with Twitch streamers and the subs. You don't want to watch a streamer who's going, hey, you haven't subbed, nobody's subbed, I'm trying to get 10 subs this day, I'm trying to do this, I want to get 50 subs so I can get this, I'm saving up for, this piece of equipment, and I need a sub, and I need more subs. No, that's no good. All you have to do is simply remind people that the option exists, and you can either through a graphic that pops up every now and again, they're very easy to make, or you could have one made for you on Fiverr or any number of things, and it could just be, hey, don't forget to sub to the channel. That's it. It's not subliminal, it was right there in front of your face, but you're not interrupting your own content to get people to do it. It's reminding instead of begging. And the other thing you could do, and this won't be a very successful thing if you have a small community, but as you grow, this thing will already be set up for you. You can put up some merch. There's no problem with that. If you've got a cool logo or you've got like a cool saying or some like community inside joke kind of thing, you can throw that up on a t-shirt. And the reason that I say that you can do this is because depending on the service you use, Stream Elements can do it. You can use places like TeePublic and all these other places like that. It doesn't cost you anything, and it's just there and it just exists. So you can have a link in your notes below, you can have a link on a Twitch panel, and there's not much more to it. If you're doing a YouTube video, a video podcast, or a Twitch stream, and you get a cool piece of merch, you can show people really quick, either by like bringing up the computer, or if you actually have the shirt, you're like, hey, we've got this shirt now. If you like the show and you want to support it, you can order it from here. And then that's the end. That's something that can grow with you. Don't expect it to be successful early, because it's a numbers game. You're never going to have a high percentage of your audience buying your merch. It's just not going to happen, especially on free platforms where they can just enjoy you for no money whatsoever. It's just not going to happen a lot. Some people who really, really like you and really want to support the show will do it, and it'll be cool. And I'll tell you what, I have a bunch of merch on teepublic.com. I'll put the link below. It's mostly for my podcast, but we do sell stuff. And I tell you what, it feels amazing every time we sell something. And it doesn't happen a ton, but every now and again, hey, here's a few bucks. I'm actually going to put up a couple of things for this channel, but it's going to wait. And there's a reason it's going to wait. Spoiler alert, I have a new logo coming. We're rebranding. But I really hope, especially if you are a newer creator, that you got something out of this video, because the temptation to make money doing this stuff, and the fact that you can see streamers and YouTubers and all that making all kinds of money doing this, it's become a very coveted thing. But the reality is, if you focus more on the money and less on enjoying what you're doing and helping to make other people enjoy what you're doing as well, then the money's never going to come anyways. So for now, prioritize the content, prioritize the community, prioritize yourself, and then I am confident that everything else will fall into place. That's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit the like, hit subscribe, click the notification bell, all those things. Wonderful helps to me. Let me know what you thought about this down in the comments. I am sure I'll hear opinions on both sides for this one, and I am absolutely fine with that. Make sure to come check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/miscastjoe, and check out all my socials below, because I got a lot of things coming up in the near future, and I don't want you to miss any of it. But until I see you next time, gang, let's get to work.